The barking was getting closer. The barking was getting closer. We had been moving for 20 minutes through the dense pine forest, our makeshift stretcher leaving a trail of disturbed snow and dark droplets that even a city dweller could follow. Dimitri's condition had worsened with each jolting step. His breathing had become more labored, his face a waxy gray that spoke of a body surrendering to infection. "Stop," I whispered, raising my fist. The column halted immediately. In the sudden silence, we could all hear it now. The deep, resonant baying of German tracker dogs, perhaps a kilometer behind us, but closing fast. Mixed with the animal sounds came the distant shouts of handlers, the crack of branches as a large group moved through the forest with purpose. "How many?" Vasily asked quietly, his knuckles white on the stretcher handles. I listened intently, counting the different vocal signatures. At least 3 dogs, maybe 4, and from the sound of it, a full platoon of infantry. Ivan spat into the snow. They found our trail at the culvert, probably been following us since we left. The mathematics were simple and brutal. We were 5 exhausted men, 1 dying, carrying a wounded comrade through enemy territory. They were fresh troops with tracking dogs, moving fast, unencumbered by casualties. In a straight pursuit, we had no chance. There, I pointed to a cluster of large boulders about 50 meters ahead, partially hidden by fallen trees. We make our stand there. "Sarge," Pyotr said, his voice tight with fear. "What about Dmitri? He can't." "He can't run," I finished. "Neither can we. Not anymore." We moved quickly to the rocks, setting up a defensive position in the natural shelter. Vasily positioned the DP-28 to cover our back trail, while Ivan found a spot with good fields of fire to the east. I placed myself where I could see the most likely approaches, my PPSH ready. Pyotr knelt beside Dmitri, checking his pulse. The boy's eyes fluttered open, focusing on me with surprising clarity. "Sergeant," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "I can hear them. The dogs." "I know, son. Just rest." Am I going to die? The question hung in the cold air like a physical presence. I looked into his young face, 19 years old, the same age as my brother Mikhail when the war took him, the same age as countless other boys who would never see home again. "Not today," I said firmly. "Not if I can help it." He smiled weakly, then closed his eyes. "Tell my mother. Tell her I wasn't afraid." The barking was much closer now. Through the trees I could see movement, dark shapes weaving between the pines, following our scent with inexorable purpose. "Here they come," Ivan said calmly, working the bolt of his Mosin Nagant. 3 dogs, 6 handlers, and about 20 infantry spread out in a skirmish line. I could see them now too. The dogs were magnificent beasts, German shepherds, their black and tan coats stark against the white snow, their breath steaming in the cold air. Behind them came the handlers, SS men in white camouflage smocks, and then the infantry, moving with the confidence of hunters who had cornered their prey. "Let them get close," I whispered. "Wait for my signal." The first dog reached the edge of our position, nose down, following the blood trail that led directly to our hiding place. It looked up, ears erect, and let out a sharp bark of discovery. Now, Vasily's machine gun opened up first, the distinctive chatter of the DP-28 ripping through the forest quiet. The lead dog handler spun and fell, his animal leaping away with a confused whine. Ivan's rifle cracked, and another German dropped. But there were too many of them. Return fire began immediately, bullets whining off the rocks around us, chipping bark from the trees. I squeezed off bursts from my PPSH, trying to keep their heads down, but I could see them maneuvering, trying to flank us. "Pyotr!" I shouted over the gunfire. "How's Dmitri?" "Hoist, Pyotr!" I shouted over the gunfire. "How's Dmitri?" "Unconscious," he called back, "but alive." A grenade landed 10 meters to our left, exploding in a shower of snow and earth. Then another, closer this time. They were trying to flush us out, force us to abandon our position. "Sarge!" Ivan's voice was urgent. "Movement on the right flank!" I swung my weapon toward the threat, seeing gray-clad figures moving through the trees. Too many. We were being overwhelmed. That's when I heard it. A sound that made my blood freeze. The deep, powerful, getting closer. "Tank," Vasily said grimly, never taking his eyes off his targets. "Probably called it up when they found our trail." The rumbling grew louder, accompanied by the squeal of tracks on frozen ground. Through the trees, I caught a glimpse of gray steel, a Panzer IV pushing through the forest like a prehistoric beast, its cannon already swiveling toward our position. We were finished. The realization hit me like a physical blow. We'd made our stand, fought as hard as we could, but it wasn't enough. It was never going to be enough. I looked at my men. Vasily still firing controlled bursts, Ivan methodically picking his targets, Pyotr shielding Dmitri with his own body. Good men. The best. They deserved better than to die in this frozen forest, forgotten by history. The tank was close now, perhaps 100 meters away. I could see the commander's head in the cupola, directing the advance. In seconds, that 75mm cannon would speak, and our little fortress would become our tomb. But then, from somewhere to the north, came a sound that made my heart leap. The distinctive chatter of PPSH submachine guns, Soviet weapons, our weapons. "Do you hear that?" Ivan shouted, his face lighting up with desperate hope. I did hear it, and something else, the deeper bark of a Soviet machine gun, probably a Maxim. Heavy automatic fire, disciplined, coordinated, not partisans, regular troops. The German tank commander must have heard it too, because the Panzer suddenly stopped, its turret swiveling north toward the new threat. The infantry around us began to waver, looking uncertainly between our position and the sound of battle erupting behind them. "Red Army!" Vasily shouted, his voice cracking with emotion. "It's the Red Army!" The sound of fighting intensified, moving closer. Through the trees, I could see muzzle flashes, the distinctive green tracers of Soviet weapons. The Germans were caught between two forces now, and their aggressive advance suddenly became a confused retreat. The tank fired once, its cannon booming like thunder, but the shot was directed north, not at us. Then it began to reverse, tank churning in the snow as it sought to escape the trap that was closing around it.
"Hold position," I commanded. "Let them go."
We watched as the German patrol fell back, leaving their dead behind. The dogs, abandoned by their handlers, wandered confused through the snow before disappearing into the forest. The firing gradually died away, replaced by a more familiar sound, Russian voices calling out in our direction. "Identify yourselves," came a shout from the trees. "Third Platoon, 157th Rifle Regiment," I called back. "Sergeant Volkov commanding." "Advance and be recognized." I looked at my men, hardly daring to believe it. We had survived. Against all odds, we had survived. As Soviet soldiers emerged from the tree line, I knelt beside Dmitri. The boy's eyes were open, and he was smiling weakly. "We made it," he whispered. "We actually made it." "Yes," I said, feeling the weight of command finally lifting from my shoulders. "We made it home."